And we're here with Chief Dorsey from the Andalusia Fire Department. Behind you there, Chief, is a little house, it looks like. Tell us a little bit about this house. It looks like it's got something going on inside right now.
Actually, this is what we call our safety house. We teach kids how to get in this house and crawl below the smoke, showing them that if they stand up, they can't see, but if they crawl low, that about a foot or so from the floor up, it's clear. They can actually see the floor and find their way out of a house.
And we're going to go in here in a second, Chief, and show people. A lot of people look at Hollywood and say, you know, hey, everybody's, you know, you can see the fire, you can see, you know, get out and run and all that. A lot of firefighters in the first round, when they become firefighters, find out that that is not the case. Smoke is black, and you can't breathe, and you can't run through the house, and you don't see the flames usually.
That is correct. The movies have made a myth of a lot of things. People talk about backdraft. If it's the same as it's nothing like actually being in a live fire. They are in a controlled environment when they're making movies, and there's no such a thing as that when you got a fire.
Well, Chief, we're going to let you take us inside here and show us some smoke-filled building.
All right.
All right, Chief, now we're standing up.
And you see, you cannot see anything. Even when you're standing up and looking down, you can't even see the floor when you're standing up.
Can't even see the door coming in.
No, you can't see anything.
Okay.
But once you get down on your knees, hands and knees, you can actually see the floor. You can see the doorways, and that way you can crawl out of a house and find your way out to the next exit and get out.
How much time do you have to get out of a room like that?
It depends on the smoke that's in there. The quicker the possible. I mean, if it's actually fire, a lot of times you don't have very long at all, because the heat, this simulates pretty much just smoke. And I try to tell kids there's heat involved when there's smoke. And also that if they're having to come out of a room or out of a house, to feel the backside of the door, and if they feel heat, then don't go out of that room.
Can you demonstrate that, sir?
Well, you just take, whenever you crawl up to the door, you just sit there and you feel the door. And if you feel any heat off of that door, that means you don't want to open that door and exit that room if all possible. If you feel that and you got something, that smoke's coming under the door, you take something and stuff up under the bottom of your doors, and then go to a window. If you have to take something and knock the window out of it, knock the window out and holler out and let somebody know that you're in that house.
Chief, the heat, say where you're standing at right now, height level in the house right now, what would you say on a good going house fire in a room would be? It'd be pretty hot.
Anywhere from 12 to 1600 degrees.
So if you try to breathe that or stand in it,
it'll burn your lungs, and pretty much you'll suffocate from your own fluids.
Now, a lot of folks are not burned to death in a house fire.
That's correct.
They're actually smoke inhalation.
That's correct.
And that's why it's important to know that the first thing to combat is smoke to get out.
That's correct. Usually, most people that dies in house fires, what happens is the heat and the smoke goes in and it messes up their sinuses, and they actually drown in their own sinus drainage, and that's what actually usually get them before actually the fire actually burns them.
Chief, if somebody at a school or place wanted you to bring this to demonstrate it, could you do that?
Sure would. All they have to do is call the Andalusia Fire Department at 222-1121, and we'll put them on the calendar of whenever they want us to do it, and we'll bring it to them, and we'll do the demonstration.
Chief, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Folks, we're here with a name that's behind the scenes most of the times. Anytime you hear us read a story about a traffic accident or an incident in the area that's in our viewing area, we usually get it from this gentleman here, Trooper Kevin Cook from the Alabama State Troopers. You are the
Public Information
Officer, PIO. And we get the emails from you all the time. First off, thank you so much for getting those to us and keeping our viewers informed of what's going on out there, because nowadays with the technology the way it is, usually a lot of people get information, but a lot of times it's not the right information. and that's why we always wait for your press releases before we release information. So we thank you for that. Not long ago, you were tied up with a huge incident with that hostage situation. A lot of officers what do you call it? Assets.
Yes, sir.
Involved in it. You got a lot of exposure to media and things like that. And unfortunately, things turn out the way they do. But people have no idea what to expect from one day to the next. And y'all are out there doing it every day. Behind us here, we have a simulator, which is a rollover simulator, talking about people don't know what's going on every day of things that happen. You're driving down the road, all of a sudden you're on a slick road. Next thing you know, you slip and slide, hit the median, and you roll over. And disorientation is a huge thing, especially at night.
Yes.
Especially in water. And hopefully you can go over some of those things with us here.
Well, like you said, this is a rollover simulator. We got spring break coming up. There's going to be a lot of traffic on the roadways. It's already started picking up, as you can tell. What this is a rollover simulator. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, they helped us purchase this to go to all the schools, not only schools, but public functions where the community's involved, to do demonstrations showing people the importance of seatbelts. Out of the 465 people that were killed on Alabama roadways, those were just trooper work crashes last year. Out of those 465, 67% of them were not wearing a seatbelt. That's over half. How long does it take to put on a seatbelt? 2 seconds. And the majority of the times, people wear them incorrectly. People think they won't get a ticket by wearing it underneath their arm. Well, they're wrong about that. That's not the way that seatbelt was meant to be worn. Anyway, what we have in this rollover simulator is we've got a full-grown mannequin, and then on the other side over there, what you can't see, is a baby mannequin that is buckled up. Right now, the male mannequin is not going to be buckled up, and I'm about to roll the vehicle over to show you what will happen to you in a rollover situation. So if you'll step back so you won't get hurt, we'll go ahead. As you can see, on the first turn, the full-grown mannequin, he started to move around in the vehicle. He's lodged in the vehicle right now. Half his body, half his head, and his upper torso is lodged up against the roof of the vehicle, whereas the baby mannequin is still in the vehicle. What people don't realize is if they, by some chance, stay in the vehicle partially, they can be partially ejected out of the vehicle. What's going to happen then? The vehicle is going to roll over you when you start to come out of the vehicle. It's very important that people wear their seatbelts. It only takes 2 seconds, and it's been proven that seatbelts save your lives.
Trooper, the baby in that, I don't even want you to unbuckle the baby in that, but some people just let the kids ride in the car. Yes, and they're a smaller object in the car that'll go through the windows a lot quicker. As that vehicle turns over in a real scenario, all the glasses come out on the first rollover. So there are many exit points on that vehicle for the body to go through, and the vehicle and it's always it never seems to fail that the vehicle rolls over the individuals that are tossed from the body or tossed out of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. You become a bullet in that vehicle. You're going to impact the steering wheel. You're going to impact the dash. You're going to impact the A-frame, the A-pillar, the B-pillar. If you got any other occupants in that vehicle, you're going to collide with them in that vehicle as well. So that seatbelt not only keeps you in the vehicle, it keeps you fastened in your position so you will not impact the steering wheel or the windshield, the dash, other objects in the vehicle.
Well, Trooper Cook, we appreciate you sharing this with us. And we're out here today at this event that the local EMA has put off. And it's a great thing this community has, an opportunity to have you and others out here to share this information.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
What are you showing us here?
Well, this is a safety shelter. This is an Alabama-made shelter. It's made in Danville, Alabama. It's one of the oldest manufacturing storm shelter companies in the state of Alabama. It's a double-hulled polymer shelter with an all-aluminum door and frame. It's got a plastic weld, And so we consider this to be one of the strongest underground shelters available today.
Now, underground shelters, moisture seems to be a big problem with a lot of the older type shelters. How's that with these?
These are great. I've never had any complaint of moisture in these or the fiberglass shelters. Sometimes when you first put them in the ground and they have that temperature change, you might see that, if the ground's cold and your shelter's warm and you put it in, you might have some as you open the door and the cold air goes in. But once they adjust to the ground temperature, usually you don't see that anymore. Not with a fiberglass or a polymer.
And how far down in the ground? I noticed the door is got to be at the surface, obviously.
The
But
bottom of the door is at the surface, and we put this one down 5.5 feet. We anchor it with 5,000 pounds of concrete anchors, and then, well, I'll talk about our fiberglass shelters later because they go down a different height. But this one goes down 5.5 feet. Okay, this these pictures displayed. The reason we brought these is to show people what their shelter is going to look like when it's in the ground. What's my shelter going to look like? What can I expect? What's the dirt going to look like? And so we brought lots of demonstrations. Here you have a shelter where somebody put concrete over it. It's an underground shelter. Here's a poolside shelter. You can see the ones with the angled doors are meant to go on a hill. Like here's a hill. It just blends in with the hill versus putting one in flat land. If you put one in flat land, then you will have a mound. So we have the flat doors like this, and then the angle doors with the mound. So it just gives people an idea of what to expect once the shelter is installed.
is that an indoor?
These are the safe rooms that go in the garages,
Okay.
which we carry
And
those
we'll
too.
see that up here in a moment.
Yeah.
Question for you on where they're at. They're after years of being out in the yard. It's going to look like part of the yard.
Yes, it does.
All right. Now, if there's a disaster and the people are in there, let's say something falls on top of that door, how does anybody know they're there?
Well, I recommend every shelter we install, we register it with 911. We do the latitude and longitude, we do the GPS location, exactly where the shelter is, and so the 911 people have that on file and they know to look. The other wonderful thing about an underground fiberglass shelter is that you do get cell phone reception if you have it at your home. So we were in our fiberglass shelter from 6 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning on April 27th, and we were able to call out, we were able to track the storms that were coming in waves on our GPS and our radar weather on the phone. This is a large underground shelter here. It's a large fiberglass underground. We put this one down 5.5 feet, and again, it's meant to go in a hill, or it can go in the flat of the land, but you will have a mound. This shelter holds 10 to 15 people. It's got bench seating, which is very popular from shelters. It's clean, white, dry. You won't have condensation in this shelter. Your walls will stay bone dry. I saw a lot of the large shelters are very popular. This company also uses a fiberglass called Woven. It's a very thick, heavy weave fiberglass, and they use that in conjunction with regular fiberglass, so it really gives a lot of strength to the shelter. And you will notice that this shelter has a lot of ribbing on it. Those are fiberglass ribs. When you put a shelter in the ground, you're going to have ground movement, you're going to have water movement, and so that just gives the body strength. And this company really puts a lot of ribbing. They put it on the top, the sides, the side walls, and the bottom. And these fiberglass shelters comes in 3 sizes. The large, this is a small, this is 4 to 6 people. That's 10 to 15. And this would be this is a small safe room. It's a 1/4-inch steel plate safe room. It's also made by Safety Shelter. These have an exterior locking door, bench, you can get a box. What we do is we install these in a garage or in a newly constructed home, and it has to be on concrete. They're meant to be inside, not outside. They need to be under a cover. And then we anchor bolt them with 5/8-inch wedge anchors. And these this is the smallest size. We have 4x5s, 4x6, 4x8, 4x12s, and 8x8s. have a lot of people ask me, are these shelters as safe as an underground shelter? Some studies actually say that these are safer because you're not running outside to get in an underground shelter, not exposed. But ultimately, these shelters are really great for handicap or the elderly people who don't want to walk outside in the weather. They have handicap accessible doors that open to the inside.
A lot of time there's wind, hail, and debris going on at the same time. The storm's coming.
That's right.
But, all right, and if somebody wants to get up with you all, find out more about this, how can they?
This we're on the website is Lake Martin Storm Shelters, or you can call me at 256-794-8075.
What we have here is a 16-person unit. It's rated by FEMA to hold up to 16 people, and that's based off of square footage as well as your ventilation. Our units are steel, made of 10-gauge steel. Floors made of 1/4-inch steel. We coat it in a 2-part coal and tar epoxy that protects it against rust and corrosion. It's kind of the same thing that they use on the Alaska pipelines. So our units are also designed, and you see the shelf on either side, that's designed as the anchor. When you bury this in the ground and put the dirt, that acts as about 23,000 pounds of pressure. So that's what holds it down. We prefab it with the holes cut in it in case the water table is high, so they have a way to anchor it down in addition to. All of our units are carpeted. We got 0-weight doors, LED battery lighting, and we also got the conduit ready for you if you want to add. It's up there at the top if you want to add electricity or plumbing or what have you. Of course, this is a storm shelter, but we have quite a few doomsdayers that check on our product because it is steel. We are endorsed by the spokesperson of National Geographic's Doomsday Prepper. His name's Tim Ralston. He actually owns one of our shelters. He's turned his into a bunker, of course. So we do, this is our largest below ground unit. We do one that's half this size. This is a 6x6x10. We do a 6x6x5 as well. Additionally, we do community storm shelters that hold up to 100 people. We do above ground that are made of 10-gauge steel as well, but we also do that same unit in bulletproof.
Let me ask you on these doors, I heard you telling somebody else earlier, those doors are right around 200 pounds.
Yes, sir, they are.
And that is set off by the springs and the actuators?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Way we've done it is we've got a 0-weight door, so it's spring loaded so that in the event of a storm you can get in the unit easily. A frail lady, a young child, if we didn't have that, it'd be impossible for them to get in it. Of course, we don't want them to suffer.
Now, one that's underground won't have the back door to it.
No, sir. This is a demo model. Now, if we had somebody that wanted to bury this in the side of a hill, we could build it just this way for them if that's the way they want it. This is to give access to people so they can
look inside,
get in it, smell it, and touch it and feel it,
What is something like this for an average family, 4 or 5?
4 or 5, they'd be looking around $6,000 for the steel unit underground.
Completely installed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Folks, we're out here with Susan Harris, the local EMA director for Covington County. Ms. Harris, you came on last week and talked about this event. How did it turn out? I see a lot of people out here going through this stuff, and we've been out here a couple of hours, and it just seems there's been a lot of interest, but you've got the official information back. What's the feedback?
It's good for our first year. I think it's been a really good success for us. I did a head count. We've had 500 people to come through and to get some information, and I just think it's just been a wonderful day.
Well, you had a lot of first time, like you said, it was first time for you to do this for the county, but a lot of first time vendors come out here and share their wares and a lot of information about storm shelters and things like that. And the MASH tent over here, I call the MASH tent, and helicopters from different areas and all that. Just a lot of things for people to gain information about. Andalusia had the robot out here.
Yes. A lot of good, interesting stuff, and I think the public has really enjoyed it. And even I have learned a lot today from the different things that I've been seeing. So it's just been a great day. It really has.
Well, congratulations on a very successful program that you put off, and we're proud of you, and we thank you for doing this for our community.
You're welcome. You're welcome.